Next on the agenda, we're going to have an interesting talk, workshop from Patrick Cyusa, who's the Regional Coaching and Mentoring Manager at Jasiri. And we are going to have a conversation about entrepreneurship in general and cultivating an entrepreneurial mindset. I hope you know that those can be two different things, but a person can have both. A person can have one of either, right? Are you excited to learn this morning? Yeah. I don't hear the enthusiasm, guys. Are you excited? Yeah. Awesome. You're welcome, Patrick.
Hello, good morning. How are you guys doing this morning? Great. So it's my pleasure to be here, surrounded by super smart people, absolutely smarter than me, and you'll find out that entrepreneurs know how to hire smart people. That's really the biggest skill. But in essence, I'll ask actually the team on the tech side to put up my presentation. Okay. So, as Maria said, my name is Cyusa, and I am the Regional Coaching and Mentoring Manager at Jasiri. So, a little bit about me and a little bit about Jasiri. So, I'll start by my career. So, what I've been doing is I started my journey in computer science. So, I know there are many engineers in the house, and everybody does computer science at this point. Whatever. Oh, okay, this isn't better. I wanted to move around a bit. So I realized I cannot code to save my life. And I said, you know what? I still love numbers, but I want to do numbers that are pretty meaningful. Okay. Tech coming to me. I like it. So I love numbers, but I like numbers that kind of have a meaning in a broader sense. So I did economics for my bachelor's in the National University of Rwanda in Butare. But then the more I did economics, the more microeconomics came to me, like down to the smallest unit of wealth creation is a small business that needs to really make ends meet for people in that business to earn a living and for people to actually prosper in life. So I decided an MBA is the natural trajectory. So that's what I did. After my MBA, I actually went into an interesting program called Bid Network. And this was a Dutch program that was training entrepreneurs in various things that are very practical. So a lot of business training goes into, do a business plan, think about this, think about that. But really, at the end of the day, it's all about the nitty-gritties of a business model. So I really latched onto that. So if you guys know a business model canvas, please, if you want to be an entrepreneur, go onto a business model canvas and latch onto it, because I feel like it covers everything that has to do with running a really good business. So I trained a lot of entrepreneurs I started in 2012, 2011. So I trained a lot of entrepreneurs in business model canvas, thinking about your metrics, and then joined many incubators and accelerators along the years. Now at Jasiri, we're doing something very exciting. We're trying to de-risk entrepreneurship. So what I mean by that is we know entrepreneurship is super hard, and we know what makes it hard. Most of the time it's funding, but a lot of the times as well it's doing the right thing at the right time for the right people, right? So we really bring in those two aspects of creating a safe space for people to be entrepreneurs. And I'll invite you to visit our website, jasiri.org. There's a lot of information about two programs that we are currently running, an incubator program called the Talent Investor, which is our flagship program, and also the Growth Accelerator for people who are already in startups. Okay, so, but don't drop out of school just yet. I mean, CMU is amazing. All the university in this house are amazing. So it's still pretty necessary to have the right knowledge to get into this. So I'll ask to put up the slide. If you can have the slide, great. So think like an entrepreneur. I think my first question, and I want a show of hands, Who here thinks they're going to be an entrepreneur at some point in their life? Show of hands. Great, great, great. Sorry, I'm going to put somebody in the spot. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Tell us why.
All right. I'm Tayevetan Gaffo. I'm Cameroonian, a student of the African Leadership University, taking a major in entrepreneurship. I actually, and I am an individual who likes to explore. And so entrepreneurship is just that space for me to fly as far as I want, explore different ideas in different fields. So entrepreneurship is an open space that does not limit me. But in everything I want to do, especially in the arts field, because that's what I love, I can go as far as I want. Yeah.
Thank you very much. A round of applause. Go as far as you want to go, right? Somebody else on this table who wants to be an entrepreneur. Please tell us why, though.
Thank you. My name is Polycarp. I'm a student from RECA, Rwanda Institute for Conservation and Agriculture. I want to be an entrepreneur. I personally am driven by making an impact to the society, and I do consider that entrepreneurship, being an entrepreneur, can be the way to making an impact, especially in the sector of agriculture that I'm pursuing right now. And I think that through entrepreneurship, being an entrepreneur would be a good way to help me to achieve my goal.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Polycarp. Now I'm going to switch up the question. Who doesn't want to be an entrepreneur? Nobody? There's no shame to not be an entrepreneur. Somebody brave here in the room. Who doesn't want to be an entrepreneur? Nobody? I don't want to be an entrepreneur. And I'll give you a disclaimer. This is not life advice. I don't want to force you into entrepreneurship. And I am a failed entrepreneur, by the way. I have tried a couple of things that haven't gone well. I have been part of businesses that have failed. And I decided, let me actually not be an entrepreneur for a minute, right? So let me ask that again. Is there somebody who knows they don't want to be an entrepreneur? Okay, no hands. All right, people are shy today. But don't worry, not everybody can be an entrepreneur. And that's really what I want to emphasize, right? And something I will actually thank Bemi for saying is that you can actually be part of a company, not necessarily be the one to start a company. And you can be the one who changes their reality, right? As an engineer, as a marketer, as anything you want to be, right? So you don't have to be an entrepreneur, right? But if you do want to be an entrepreneur, there are a few things you need to think about, right? So if I can ask if there's a mic in the room that can go around, right? Okay, I see a mic at the back. That's great. I see a mic in the middle. So I'm going to ask a question very simply. Who's an entrepreneur you admire? Somebody who wants to share an entrepreneur they really, really admire in the world. Not just Africa. Yes. There's a mic on that table. Africa, anywhere, really.
Video. Yeah. Okay, my name is Adedoyin Faith from University of Lagos, Nigeria. The person I love so far is Sheyi Vodi, a fashion designer. And I'm also a fashion designer as well. So the way he does his things is just exceptional. And he said he started with a very small money, finance, and today is now somebody I look up to. Funny enough how he's in different states, but I follow him online on social medias. In fact, some of his designs I copy as well and create my own in a different way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The plus for that entrepreneur, inspiring future entrepreneurs, absolutely. Yes, you want to share as well?
Morning. My name is Lekon Daramola from University of Lagos. An entrepreneur I really admire is Shola Akinlade of Paystack. I think everybody knows Paystack, and I really like the way he started because it was genuinely about him solving a problem that we're experiencing in Africa as a whole. And he has really grown really big now, and it's really inspiring for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Can we see the other side of the room as well? So we talk about Paystack, we talk about fashion. Yes. One more.
Hi everyone, can you hear me right? I'm Bangladesh Varmans from South Africa, from VETS. I think the only guy that I admire in this entire world, it has to be Elon Musk.
I was waiting on that one.
I mean, he's from home. And
Tell us why, please.
he's a guy that comes from Pretoria, a small town in South Africa, and he decided, you know what? I have dreams, I have things to accomplish, but I just believe that home is not for me. So he had to leave South Africa to go where he is now. And I mean, he's the richest guy in the world now.
I love that. Thank you so much. What's your name?
Bongolwetu.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much. So there's a few things we heard, you know. Ambition, where people started from. And I think one thing that really keeps coming about is why they start this, right? Why did they start their journey into entrepreneurship? Sorry. So I don't know where to point this, but great. Right. So the first thing is opportunity recognition, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to do things in a vacuum. You want to do it for people to actually pay you something, right? There's value you want to bring to the world. And I feel like, if you're looking at Paystack, if you're looking at, sorry, I forgot the name, but the fashion designer, there's value they're bringing, right? So the opportunity to bring value is really the biggest thing as an entrepreneur that really pushes somebody into it, okay? But really, like, that has to be the why. Like, why am I bringing this value? Why me, even? Why would it be me to bring this value onto the world, right? So we talk about Elon Musk, of course. Despite controversies, he has brought quite some interesting, life-changing technologies onto the world. But there was always a why for him, okay? He almost lost everything, actually. I think that's mostly documented. And we get a lot of, I'll say this honestly, in our programs, we try to find as many examples of African entrepreneurs. I think documentation is something that's lacking with African entrepreneurs, and it would be amazing to actually get more of that. But I know most entrepreneurs that are written about are actually from abroad. So opportunity recognition is the first thing. If you see an opportunity, is there a business in it? And there's always a process to it, right? So one of the biggest dangers for entrepreneurs is that you can be excited about a product, but not excited about the customers who will use that product. And this is something we see a lot with computer science, engineering. And just because you can build it doesn't mean it's a product or it's a business. Are we together? Yes? So when I say hi, you tell me hello. Hi? Hello. And I say hello, you tell me hi. Hello. Hi. Hello. Great. So this is the biggest danger for entrepreneurs or anybody thinking of entrepreneurship. Yes, you're amazing, you can build amazing things, but who's going to use it, right? And this is the biggest danger, and this is with all the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, it's always the challenge that I tell them to think about. Like, who's going to use it and why are they going to use it? What's the value for them, right? So just a couple of examples of great products that we could use in our lifetime. Why use the normal stuff when we could actually have shoes to clean up your carpets? Let me go to the next. I hope it comes through. It's been very rainy in Kigali. I think I might need this too, but it's just a few funny things that people come up with, but a little comic break, collecting water while staying far from the rain. So it's just a few little things to think about. I know some people say they use chopsticks. How many people say they use chopsticks? Right, you got a couple in the room. Nice. Great. So going forward, of course, there's just attributes. You don't just come up to an opportunity and just, there's just an opportunity. There's always an opportunity out there in the world, but at the end of the day, if you really want to make a dent and build a business, you have to critically think about it and think about the real problem you're really solving. Because a lot of the time, it's, you will see opportunities. Like, I don't know if we always talk about pharmacies in Rwanda, they always are next to each other, and people think, well, that doesn't make sense. But it does make sense because everybody will actually go to that area and find, a medicine they want. So it's not, there's always an opportunity to put a shop next to your neighbor, okay? But at the end of the day, if you want to build something that's really amazing, you have to critically think about what the real problem is you want to solve for somebody, right? The first customer. Is it a business? Is it a person? Is it an industry entirely? But really critically thinking about it and going deep into the nitty-gritty. So the first thing we even do in our program is, are you in love with the problem that you're trying to solve? Like, do you really love it? Do you really feel like this is something that you can work on your entire life, right? So there's a bit of that. Like it's, I know we talk about passion, but sometimes it's just passion about a problem or a need, right? And we talk about problems, but it's also needs. It could be entertainment. If it's an entertainment your thing, it's gonna be something you really want to live into, right? You really want to be in the entertainment space. So it can be a need, a human need, right? Comfortable with risk. And here it's very key to understand that a lot of businesses fail, all right? Like, it doesn't mean just because you have the right opportunity and you've really thought hard about the business that you're gonna get it right the first time. And let me mention, it's the first time. You really, we like to say no business survives first contact with market, right? So the reason why people say that is because you're gonna try and fail at a couple of things until you get the right thing right, okay? So, of course, everybody knows the inventor, Thomas Edison. It's not that one thing he says that he hasn't failed, but he's just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. So the 10,001th way, I guess, or first way, it's the one that worked. So that's what actually we push people to do in our programs, is to experiment. And I feel like it's very important to experiment before you even go deep into I need money to do this. No, you actually don't need a lot of money. You can actually first experiment with a little bit, just a little bit of money, and see, is this something that can stick? And then if you see that there's a lot of people who are coming onto it, then you actually put a lot of money into it. So experimentation is something that's very key. And it's a bit risky, right? But you can actually calculate your risk, right? You can calculate your risk, make sure it doesn't break the bank and leave you in a precarious situation. But experimentation is very key before you jump into something full-time. Right. Sorry, I hope it's working. Right. Creativity and innovation. This part is really thinking about, okay, things are being done a certain way. Can they be done better, right? There's a lot of opportunity, especially with tech, with new tech coming in, with adoption of smartphones increasing. But there's also a fallacy that just because there's tech, it's gonna catch on, right? That's also very dangerous because you still have to go down deep to the value that you're creating for the customer and figure out what is really their reality. What do they live through every day? What is their process of solving certain problems? So that's why we actually, a lot of the things we do, we push people to get deep into experimenting is because what you think is a problem might not actually be the real problem. So you discover other problems and it might actually get a bit uncomfortable because you're very excited about an idea and you really find it hard to actually let it go. Because you have an assumption about a problem, and when you hit market, the market tells you something completely different, right? So that's when actually innovation comes in, because you think differently about the problem. You thought you knew, but then you know something else, and then you try to be creative around it. And that's innovation really comes through that, because you actually know the real problem that's affecting people on the ground. So it's very key to, use maybe unconventional tools and approaches to existing challenges, but you really have to know these first by going through the problem a couple of times and knowing what's going to change the reality of this person vis-a-vis the real problem they're actually facing. So, future orientation. What is next? What is next? how is this person's life? If I have a business, if I'm creating a business, what is next for what is the value that is going to be constantly created for this person, right? So I know we all know Amazon in the room. So there's also that customer obsession. And that customer obsession, of course, is really, it gives you the space to say, okay, what is it that I really want to change in the way people live, in the way people actually buy products? When you start with books and then you go all the way to I sell everything, that's because there's an obsession of how can I change your life to actually build something that has value over such a long time, right? Okay, sorry. So, don't let the noise of others or the others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. So there are many products that Apple brought to the market that nobody knew were needed until everybody had to buy them. So that's Steve Jobs for you, So I think one thing that that is very key is to really think of your company in the long term. Because in 5 years, I would say a lot of companies fail. Like in 5 years, it's very tricky to actually stay afloat if you really haven't figured out what a product market fit. Like it's gonna be hard to sustain, but at the same time, it's the longer you are in business and the more you're doing it, to stay relevant, you always have to think about what's next. What am I seeing? Always talk to your customers. Always talk to people who are really valuing your product. To some extent, it always gives you the right kind of perspective in your vision as a company. Right. So of course, adaptability, the markets change. We're seeing this with Facebook trying to get us into the metaverse. I don't know if that's gonna work. But it's always, it's not the strongest of species that survives, but the most adaptable to change. So things are gonna change. New technologies are gonna come. There's going to be new threats to a market. So these are things you really have to be mindful of, okay? So initiative and self-direction, always on the move, always action, always what's next. So this is, of course, a very key, I would say, saying that says whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Because if you don't believe you can actually do something and put something of value onto the market, that's going to be very hard to actually push yourself to action. Because entrepreneurship is still hard, it's still going to be hard. It's still going to, get you through sleepless nights, and then, you still have to wake up and deliver for your customers. Communication and collaboration, that's very key in your team. And then I'm just going to end the slide here. There's 8 things I mentioned here. And one of the key things to realize is 8 things is a lot of things to be really, really good at, isn't it? Right? It's really, really hard to be good at all these 8 things. And that's why you don't have to actually be good at all this. You have to find teammates who are good at one of the other things that you're not good at. All right? So we push people to get into co-founding teams in our program. And the reason why is it's really hard to do it by yourself. And when we talk about communication and collaboration, it's really who are the people who are going to jump on the same dream as you are, right? Somebody who's gonna be willing to be where you're not and also put in the same amount of effort to make it work. So you might be good at opportunity recognition, but you are very, you're not that good at flexibility and adaptability. Some people are very black and white, right? But you know that about yourself, and you need somebody who's creative in to market that product. But then you have to find the right person, the co-founder, the right teammate. So when you see this, don't be scared and say, I don't have something in me that can, I'm not good at communication and collaboration. Then where's your friend in the room, right? Where's your guy who's actually good at reaching out to people, being on social media, being on, interacting with other people? That's when you start actually putting your perspective around what you can build with other people, right? So it's very key to know that you don't have to have all these 8 to be a good entrepreneur, but you need to find the right people to help you get through the hardships by having these in mind and finding the right people in your team, right? Hi. Hello. Hi. Right. So I'd like to close on this though. There's very few key things. So if you're the entrepreneur who is starting a business, these are very powerful tenets to actually know that you have to build. For any successful business person, anybody even on your team should probably have these like embedded in them. So choosing your mindset, you really know what you're going for. You're going, you know your customers better than anyone, and you're determined to be the person to solve this problem. And you have the solid relationships. You're never gonna get into a market where you don't have to get a partner organization or work with certain institutions to find the right team, work with universities. So solid relationships, slow down to lead. A lot of things are gonna, hit you up front with the market. And really that's when we talk about adaptability. You slow down a little bit and figure out why is this thing going wrong? And this is when it's very key to slow down and think about what you are doing and think about what the customers are telling you. Know your business health metrics. So I told you about a business that I failed. Who knows about Jibu? Yes, a lot of people in the room. Jibu, it's probably not in Nigeria yet. Is it in Nigeria? Jibu? No, but it's mostly in East Africa. So I started a Jibu store. It was in my neighborhood. I had a bit of savings, and Jibu was really coming hot on the heels. And it's very simply, I put the shop up, started paying rent, started paying a salary for a shopkeeper, and then I knew my business health metric was breaking even. If I can pay the shopkeeper and I can pay the rent, that's gonna be a business, and I'm just gonna let it run by itself. Break even is applicable to any other business, but we have very techy businesses. You're creating a platform. What is your health metric if you create a platform? One idea? What's a health metric if you're creating a platform for people to use? Sorry? Subscribers, right? Subscribers, thank you. Anybody else? Platform, tech world? Yes? Customer lifetime value, right? So how much is the person worth to the company, like in the lifetime of the company, of the platform, of what it's gonna do? So there's a couple of metrics. You can Google all the metrics that you need. If you're selling, like, let's say, flour in the market, like Azam flour in the market, what are your metrics? Who has an idea? Very simple business. What would be your main metric? If you're selling maize flour, for instance, or producing it. Any idea? We are not interested in that. Sorry?
Tons.
The tons?
Tons that you produce.
The tons that you produce, the tons that you sell, right? So there's metrics that are very key to your business, and you actually sometimes have to choose which one is gonna get you there. So when I did my metrics, when it was break even, the number of bottles I'm selling, the profit per bottle, and how much I'm paying in rent and salary, I decided it was not gonna work in my neighborhood. So that's when I decided to actually close shop and sell off, all the assets before I lose more money, right? So I failed, but I failed in a smart way, I would say. But you always have to start with your metric. What's gonna be that point where you say, this is not gonna work? And then you jump onto something else, all right? So as an entrepreneur as well, like you can latch on to one idea, and then it actually, it can crush you because, you're very passionate about it, you've done your research, but it's not working, but then you might figure out something else, as long as you know when you have to give up, right? It's okay to give up, but as long as you know why you're giving up and why that business didn't work, because that's a lesson for the next business you're gonna create. All right? And you find that many investors are very interested in entrepreneurs who have tried something first, maybe failed or maybe succeeded, but if you haven't done business before, it's usually harder to raise investment, okay? So it's actually very key to, just start something, try to fail. If you fail at it, it's still gonna come back twofold because you learn a lot from dealing with the market. In the first few days, you should be prepared to swim upstream because it's gonna be super slow. Numbers can increase, but they might be super slow, and you're always going to be swimming against the stream and trying to figure out what's going wrong, what's going right, and that's going to be, you just have to expect it. And of course, be determined to succeed. Like, I feel like success, of course, is, it's very, everybody defines success very differently, right? So I feel like it's also a metric that you have to actually think about. Like, what does success mean to you in this business? When will you say, actually, yes, this is, I'm succeeding, and then I'm going for maybe something that is bigger. But defining success is very personal, right? And even when we talk about, break even, I wasn't, when I created the, the little shop, it was, can this make me enough money to cover my groceries? I was still single at that time. So I just needed something to take care of my groceries, and I knew the budget I had every month. And I'm like, if I can make this profit, this is a successful business, I'm gonna go for it, right? So it can be different depending on what you're creating. But as long as you're very clear on what the business has to do for you as well, because it's also very personal. It's a very personal journey. It's very lonely. The buck stops with you. If the customers are angry, it's your reputation on the line. So it's very personal to say, what does success look like to me in this business for me to do this, all right? So, thank you very much. I think, do I still have time? Okay, all right. Let me go through this. Of course, the pros of being an entrepreneur: control over your time. This is an amazing thing. I was a consultant at some point, and control over your time, it's something that is quite prized these days. Doing what you want when you want is something that is very key. Potential to make lots of money if you're making real money, and also making money by doing something you love to do, okay? Not being told what to do. But the very tough side of entrepreneurship, of course, everybody knows this. Financial risk, you can lose everything, so make a calculated risk. And then you might have to learn things not aligned with your major interest. So sometimes when you start a business, you might need to learn every single thing that needs to make the business work. You might be the accountant, the marketer, the product builder, so you might be everything all at once. That's why you need to find a team sometime. You need to, if you want a real business, you might need to actually find a team. There's great value in finding the right team, and this is really one thing that I have to emphasize. No steady income. 1 month will be good, the other month will be terrible. That's something to expect as well. And hours can be long. If you're fixing something for a client and it has to work, especially with tech and downtime, I know you guys know all these words, so I'm mentioning this, but yeah, hours can be long and pay can be low. So, great. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and short-term goals always help you celebrate. And I'll thank you for your time today. I'm open for questions. Yes, there's a question on the side. Maybe raise your hand if you have a question after the first one. Yeah, there's another one on the side. Yes.
Okay, good morning again once more. My name is Adedoyin Faith, fashion designer, I said earlier. I have 2 questions. And the first one is, I usually ask this question anytime I find myself in any entrepreneurship forum. What do you do when you don't have the right people to work with? What do you do when you don't have the right people to work with? That's the first question. And the second one is, this slide that you used, can need to be shared to us? Can we get that? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. What do you do when you don't find the right people to work with? Right. I think I want to open it up. I don't want to answer. Yeah. Does anybody have an idea? Want to answer? Yeah? I just want to get the ideas flowing here, like a conversation. Yeah, you can. Did you want to answer? You want another question?
A follow-up question.
Okay, yeah. Please mention it.
All right, thank you. I'm Obasinachi Ilonu, University of Lagos, Nigeria. So mine is more or less a follow-up from what he's asked. How do you solve the problem of building that first team, right? Especially at that point where you're more or less bootstrapping and it's really difficult. You cannot afford what the services of those you need on your team.
Yeah, thank you. So finding the right people, the right team, Yes. You want to answer kind of? Yes, okay. Let's get the ideas flowing here, yeah?
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Nicholas from Davis College. And to respond to his question, basically, I would say that personally, not having the right people to work with depends on where we are looking at. So I would think of looking at the right places. If you see that in this place, there are people that I need to work with, I don't see them, so I would better look somewhere else to find, because I know there will be that person who wants to work with you and has the same, probably things that you want to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, yeah. So I guess, thank you so much. I think you keep looking, right? I think there's also one aspect I can add actually to that answer. It's what's your ambition, really. If you don't find, you can run a business by yourself, by the way, as a solo person. You can run a business completely fine, make enough money, make enough profit. But I think even finding the right people is, why do you have that ambition to find that person, right? And if it's like really key to the definition of what you want as for your business and for your success, then you keep looking. I feel like there's gonna be people who come into your life. Teams fail as well. Teams definitely fail. We have seen co-founders split from each other, from misunderstandings. They start with the right passion and the right drive, and they still at some point, they reach a point where it doesn't work anymore. And that happens quite often, right? And it's a reality to deal with. And as I think that's to your point, right? Like it's not a given that teams will necessarily work, but you have to be aware of that reality and make sure that the person you find in the first instance, as you build something very new, it's somebody who's as dedicated and as fired up as you are, right? And has maybe complementary skills so that you guys can really work as a team, right? But the fire in you has to be there. Yes? Question?
Hi, my name is Sue Ellen from Davis College. I don't have a question, but I have something to add on to the answers that have been given to the designer. So for me, my perspective is a bit different. Normally, I would recommend that if you do not get someone whom you're looking for, leave room or give room for mentorship. Because you could be looking for someone, but you can spot somebody whom you know has potential, but without your input, that person would not be able to think like you. And you want to bring somebody on board, someone who would think like you, act like you, somebody whom, when you are not available, you're very certain that whatever you would be doing is what that person is doing. So there's always room for spotting that person that you believe, if you mentor yourself, will come up to be the right person for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's great. Great ideas in the room. Can I hear snaps? Yeah, I see snaps in the room. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, there was a question on that side. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm by name of Kizarinda from the University of Rwanda, a clinical psychologist to be. So you first asked the first question when we were starting, be like, who needs not to be an entrepreneur? I feel afraid to just raise a hand, but I don't feel to be an entrepreneur, nice. But I feel to be a friend of entrepreneurs.
Please, snaps for him.
So this is because I have been working with a young entrepreneur, and I'm one as well in the clinical psychology perspective or mental health. Young entrepreneurs face the challenges within their daily life activities, such as facing life stressors and lacking self-care. So they do a lot of work and such overdoing something. I mean, not overdoing, but not taking care of not taking care of themselves can lead to burnout. So, as an entrepreneur, how do you manage that, and what do you think can be done to help those young entrepreneurs who are struggling, not having time to make their well-being going on? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's a very great question. It's true. entrepreneurs will burn out at some point. I think one thing, and it's just to be mindful of time that I was given, it's the part where you define what success will look like for you and breaking it down into smaller goals, like short-term goals. Because if you're creating a business, you want it to be long-term at some point, right? You want it to, to grow and at some point sustain you and sustain your family, your friends. So I think the definition of success is really very key at the beginning, because it allows you to break it down and also make you have a reality check on what gets to you as a person or what really drives you. I feel like sometimes there's a drive to, to actually do something when you really love it. And it's at some point it's also to be mindful of, okay, this is just going overboard, I need to slow down. But also celebrating small wins makes you more driven and more mindful of actually what it takes to get those successes over and over again. So that, I feel like burnout is when things are not going right. Like when things are, when you're not getting the right customers or customers are complaining and, things are going wrong. And that's also why you sometimes need a team to help you go through it. Because when you have a team to, to go through the hard times together, it's a journey that is more interesting and that allows everybody to actually cool down and figure out the right way, okay? But defining success and actually putting it into your team as well, because you might have a team, but they need to also define it the same way you do. And you even define it on the granular level where they know what success looks like for them in their role in the company. Right? So everybody doesn't, because as an entrepreneur, you might take on all the problems of the team, okay? But to really lessen that bit is to actually define success for them, and then they will actually feel more comfortable solving the problems before they come to you, right? So there's a lot of elements to that, but that would take us a whole day of a workshop. So yes, we'll take one last question, maybe. Okay, I'll do two, because I think there are two ladies who raised their hand. Yes.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So my question is, now let's say you've found a team here and you've invested your time in building this team, trained them on what to do, what to expect, passed your goal and expectation into them, and after they are developed, they leave. Do you understand? You mentor them, they are now very developed people, psychologically, mentally, and everything, and they now feel like, oh, yeah, I think I'm good enough to even start my own and be my own boss and be this and be that. Yeah. Is it that I have to go and recruit new people again, go through the same process again, and the same thing still happens? What do we do in situations like that?
Yeah, can I ask a question? Okay. Why did they leave? Would that be something useful to know why?
More like maybe they feel like, oh yes, they are now mature. Yes, the things they didn't know before, they now know them now. Oh yes, because a whole lot of the thing is, in the country where I am from, I'm from Nigeria. I am more like a celebrity there, and a whole lot of people really want to associate with me. Do you understand? Yes. So when I feel like when they associate with me, there's no way I'm not gonna gain anything from me. Yeah. So they feel like, oh, this is the thing they've been wanting. Do you understand? This is the thing they've been trying to realize, they've been trying to develop, and I'm good to go. I'm good to, do you understand? So they start to,
yes.
Do you understand?
It's ambition, right? We're talking about their ambition.
Yeah.
If you're the entrepreneur who actually embodies their ambition, you're the right people, you're the right person for them to stay with you. If at some point you get to a point where you don't fit their ambition, it's also very key to recognize that, right? Okay. So this is just an easy answer for that. You have to be the right ambition for them as well, for the company. If they see they're not fit anymore, teams will break up.
Another thing is, as growing brands, we really do not have that capability of paying the exact salary there. Do you understand?
Yes.
So more like, I feel like they see us as a stepping stone. Do you understand? Because this mentorship they need is something they are supposed to pay for. But you see them as, oh, I want to build you, and at the same time having you work for the brand. Do you understand? Yes. So more like investing in you, not expecting anything. At the same time, I have someone that I'm actually paying, believing that once you are ripe enough,
Yes.
you're going to give back.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And once you are ripe,
Can I mention one reality for entrepreneurs? There's failure on the market. The second biggest failure is on the team, actually. So in a sense, it's the market. When you fail on the market, it's a market feedback, right? You get to know what you really need to change and what you need to build. When you fail on the team, it's a bit of looking into a mirror and seeing if you're actually building the right thing for the people you want in the business. Or even, and that bit of defining success for them, right? I think that's a key thing that you need to learn from them. You need to actually know them as much as possible to know what they will be driven towards, if it's staying with the company until it grows, or if it's somebody who's just looking for an opportunity to learn and then get out of it, right? And I feel like it's a reality to be very okay with, because teams will change. One company can change entirely, in the span of a month or 2 months, depending on different realities. But the key thing is to actually, it's actually a good mirror. The sooner you lose people, the more you know the kind of people you need to find. So it's kind of a learning, very tough learning situation. But it's actually everything that happens in a business is always like a feedback loop for you as an entrepreneur and for the business in general, right? So I feel like yes, you want to mentor people, you want them to do the right thing, but also figuring out what makes them wake up in the morning and work for you. Like what really is going to keep them doing this, right? So you have to motivate them in a certain way that is beyond money, by the way. Money is one aspect, but sometimes there's a vision that is really key, that they really have to be on. I feel like the fire in them to see this succeed as much as you want is something that is very key for any entrepreneur in the room to have in them. Okay?
Okay, sorry. Great. So flipping the question now.
Can I extend the question? You can find me, after the session. I'll be around. So one last question, please. Yeah, one last question on this side. I'll extend it to a lady, please. It's one last question, but I'll be around. All right? Thank you so much. Yes, there's one last question here.
Hello, I'm Jimbi Jausek from Dakar, and I have a question. What is the difference between the business model canvas and the business plan?
Thank you. The business model canvas is very straightforward on how will you make money. The business plan is something that is very archaic. You have to send to banks so that they can give you money. I'm sorry, but sometimes it's true. The business plan is, it's putting, beautifying what the real business model is. But the business model canvas is the core of what you're going to build as a business. And there's a free course on that on Udemy. It's by Steve, I think it's Steve Blank. So if you Google Steve Blank, Udemy, building a business, he goes through the business model canvas in a super practical way. But the business plan, yes, it's just expanding a little bit on the wording and putting it in a format that they want you to do so that they can give you money, right? But focus on the business model canvas. It's an amazing tool, right? So thank you, everybody. My name is Cyusa, and have a great forum.